Yeah. John, we good? Okay. Erev Chag Sameach. Thank you so much to the rabbi, to the community for having me. It's such a beautiful shul, by the way. This is the outside in Miami. You go around, you're not sure exactly what's going to happen. Then you walk inside a place, and you're like, the building looks half the size from the outside. You never know. It's all. We should all be zochet to that. That on the outside, we don't. No one can judge how impressive we are, but on the inside, we see worlds and worlds and worlds. It was a tremendous trait of the Gedolim. And when you walk up to them, you can walk by them. I brought some Talmidim, as the rabbi said. I used to have a bunch of Talmidim in Eretz Yisrael. Remember, I brought some Talmidim to I'm not going to say to who, but to a Gadol Torah, and they were ushering everybody through the room, and this one kid, he was a little bit out there, eccentric to begin with. This kid, but this one kid, we're going through the room. I'm like, all right, guys, everyone shook hands, whatever. We run through. We go out to the parking lot. I'm like, all right, guys, next stop we're going to the Rashbi. And the kid's like, well, what happened to the rabbi here? I'm like, what do you mean what happened to the rabbi here? Like, we just ran through the room. He's like, who? I'm like, the rabbi's sitting there. He shook his hand. He's like, I gave him money. I'm like, what? He's like, I thought it was a guy who was just collecting. I just gave him money. He's like, I was looking around for where the rabbi was. I was like, what do you mean? And then he looks in and he goes, oh yeah. He's like, that's the one from the pictures. He's like, he's a lot smaller in real life. And I'm like, yeah. What do you want me to tell you? They took a close-up like that. It's not. So we tend to not see things for what they are. It's not only common, it's not only prevalent, it's not something that just happens. It's always. We never see anything for what it is. Because judging on where you're from, judging on your upbringing, my Rabbi Berkowitz one time said, one of the greatest chidushim in the entire Torah, think about it for a second, the whole Torah, everything, you're talking about including chukim, including parah adumah, including everything that we do. Eshet Yafat Torah, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like the furthest things that we go for, of all the things that we have, the greatest chidush, Rabbi Berkowitz says, the greatest chidush in the whole Torah is Eidim, witnesses. The fact that we believe witnesses. Everyone says, why is that such a chidush? I mean, that's across the world. That's like, it's like one of the only things we have in common with American judicial systems is we believe, witnesses. If two witnesses tell you something ever, you'll be like, all right, two people saw something happen, we're going to take them. He said, that's not why it's a chidush. He said, it's a chidush because we actually act on what they said. Believing them, okay. You could believe anyone about anything. We do that all day also. We watch the news, we hear something, we see a headline. I don't even know anyone who watches the news anymore. Someone sent me, there's a person I'm related to, I'm going to leave it at that, who sends on WhatsApp, they send all, they forward all the two worst people to know, if you have WhatsApp, are people who love the news, politics, and old Sephardi ladies. Because they always send you, it's Erev Chag Shavuot, that's it, we're all getting it today. The thing with the busting flowers, like Sameach, Shavuot, Sameach. You're going to get like 40 of them. They say, like, I get it, I know what it is today. You don't have to send 30 of them. And they're like, and Shabbat, and don't forget Eruv Tavshil. Like, they start a whole... One of the worst wants to know is also a news person. They start sending you. So someone sent to like this group I'm on. So Yeshiva, someone sent this thing that, I don't know, some politician came out as an anti-Semite. Like he came out and he's like, by the way, I've been thinking about it. I'm an anti-Semite. And the other guys, I don't know anything about this. Not because I'm like Kadosh, because I'm an idiot in politics. I just don't understand it. The other guys in chat are like, what are you doing? Like, you keep posting these things. They're like, you don't think it's important? You don't think it's important to know that this representative senator somewhere is an anti-Semite? They're like, no, it's a fake thing. It's a joke. The bottom of it says Comedy Central. It's like, it's a joke. You're posting it around like it's Like it's news. It's a joke. The guy said something else and he slipped up, so they said, "Oh, you see," and they made a joke about it. You only took the headline. It was a snapshot of a video clip. Like you only took the headline. You don't even hear the laughing in the background. You have no idea what's going on. You took this clip of a headline, you're like, "Yeah," and now this poor white guy, a senator in the middle of what he calls apologizing to Jews all over the world. It's like, "I promise I'm not an anti-Semite. I don't know what anyone's talking about." And we'll sit there in the back of a shul somewhere having a coffee, being like, "You heard the representative, what? He's a Nazi. What are you gonna do?" And I always knew it. I always knew he was a Nazi. I'm telling you, I always said I didn't trust that guy. And, we have these, and we're so swayed. We get thrown around. We don't have control over our brains anymore. Everything is this outside view, this outside purview. And we want to know first. This has become a new drug in society. We want to know first. Because if I'm the first one that forwarded it to everybody, I don't know what means, by the way. I still have never been able to come up with a word for this. You were the first one to know the bad thing. Everyone else was busy living life. You've been sitting there mining this information for days, just looking through. You finally found something you think maybe no one else knows about. And you want to be the bearer of bad news. When we say it, it doesn't sound as good. But that feeling of it, oh man, ain't I allowed. And what does that lead to? It leads to fear. It leads to more fear. The world's coming to an end. We all know that one. I don't know if you knew this, but everybody told me. I have a different conspiracy theorist I'm very close with. It's not conspiracies anymore, I know, but he was always like, Obama's going to be, like he was certain, Obama's the last president. The Gedolim said, I'm like, who told you this? When did the Gedolim said, Obama's the last president. And then when he wasn't the last president, really, he's still president. You don't know. And what? And let's say you're right. What did this change your life? What did this do for you? What did this really do? Now, I'm not taking away the idea of needing to know things. I get it. But what did this do for you? I'll tell you what it did. Because it's the crux of what the Yetzer Hara has done. I was talking to some of the boys last night. I apologize. Most people don't sleep Shavuot night. If you end up in our type of job, Shavuot is like a little bit of a break. Like, I'm not sleeping, at least I get to learn. it's fantastic. Like everyone else is like walking around like a zombie. I'm like, I don't have a phone. This is amazing. This is so. And Shavuot, there's an incredible concept that I think really opens this up. I was explaining to some of the boys last night about this also. The greatest trick, the Yetzer Hara doesn't care, right? We see this in Musar Svarim all the world over. The Ramchal speaks about it a lot. The Yetzer Hara doesn't care if you do an Avera. It doesn't matter to him. Your Avera, for some reason, we tend to think my mitzvah, I prayed Shacharit, I gave tzedakah, I did lulav etrog. I did, I learned Torah. I did. I ate cheesecake. I don't know, whatever you did. Right? I did. And my avera, that destroyed the whole world. The whole world's going to explode because of my avera. These people, you know how many emails I got from people? There's a real thing in the world called scrupulosity. You can look it up. I think I'm saying it right. Scrupulosity. It's too early in the morning. Scrupulosity. Scrupulosity is a psychological disorder of people who, in the Jewish world and the yeshiva world, we would call it, he's too frum. But it's an idea of a person who becomes OCD, who becomes obsessive over religion. over being scrupulous, over being scrupulous. We tend to think that only by way of our negatives, though. You know how many emails I got during COVID from like a girl that thought that COVID was her fault? The whole thing. The whole everything all over the world. She didn't say her Tehillim. They were finishing Tehillim. This is a real email. They were finishing Tehillim, and she said she finished. Really, she didn't. She finished the next day. 2 days later, COVID. So I think she was emailing me because her friend told her he'll be nice and he'll be what. I sent her back an email telling her, how could you have done this to us? No, I sent back an email. I said, I think you should, start reading certain Sha'arim in Sha'ar Tshuva. You're a tremendous Baal Gaiva, and you got to work on that. And she sent back, she's like, what do you mean? I said it was my fault. I said it was I'm like, yeah. You think all these people, all these horrible things that are going on, you did? You lost your mind? And so now, if you take today and you finished all Sefer Tehillim, you cured cancer. You're gonna cure everything. No, that's not how it works. What is that in our head though that does that? So I said the Yetzer Hara, he doesn't care if you do one Avera. Not that it's a small thing, one Avera, but that's not his goal. We were designed to mess up. We were designed to fall. We were designed to get back up also. We were designed to do tshuva. Tshuva is not your lawyer. No one calls their lawyer for fun. Right? No one just calls their lawyer, spends $500 for 30 minutes of just schmoozing with the guy. As a matter of fact, if ever Chalila you have to call a lawyer and he starts talking, just stop talking like, hey, how's the weather? You're like, all right, buddy. I'm going to start charging you back in a second. No, how's the weather? All right, I have a timer going here. No one calls a lawyer just to schmooze, right? You're calling him because something's wrong. Tshuva is not your lawyer. Tshuva is one of the mitzvot. It's on par with the rest of them. Tshuva is there for a reason. It's because you're going to mess up. It's not when or how or why. You're going to. I'm sorry, it is when, how, and why. It's not if. You're going to. Everyone does. You're gonna mess up. Shaming that, putting that down, that's the Avera. The Yetzer Hara doesn't care if I mess up. What he wants, what his goal is to keep me down. To keep me down. He wants me to stay there. That's his goal. Because if he could shame me into staying there, now I don't do anything. Because what really does the Yetzer Hara want? What's his real goal? His real goal is not just to make sure that you, Yossi Bensoussan, does Averot and becomes a bad person. He could care less about you being a bad person. He could care less about you going to Gehinnom. And this is what our fears are. I'm going to get punished now. Horrible things are going to happen. And he's put us, the Satan has put us into a place that's all we think about. We're distracted by it. And we forgot. We forgot about Matan Torah. We forgot. What did we forget? It's not the purpose of life to stay away from doing bad things, to stay away from being a bad person. The purpose of life is to become great, is to become big, is to become amazing. We believe in ourselves so little that we hope that the best we can hope for is just no one knows how bad of a person I am. And we forgot that Hashem gave us the abilities to become incredible. Satan's whole idea is that keeping them small, that's easy. Why do I want to keep them small? I'm trying to avoid them from becoming great. Because naturally a Jew becomes great. That's his natural process. The Yetzer Hara's whole fight, the Satan's whole fight is to avoid that greatness. He's pushing back. He doesn't care less if you stay there. I'm sorry, if you're small, it doesn't matter to him. It's just don't become great. Don't become too big. And after years and years and years and years of doing it, the Satan realized, hang on a second, I can hijack the system. Why should I work so hard making sure all these people don't become big? All I have to do is convince them that that's not even an option. That's not even an option. I'll have them hyper-focus on Avera. I'll have them hyper-focus on distraction. Hyper-focus and define themselves as the worst part of themselves. And I'll keep them small. And in the past 3 months, everywhere I go, I'm trying to have the same exact message. Different ways, but the same message. I'm trying to out the Yetzer Hara. I'm trying to expose him. I'm trying to expose the Satan for the game he's playing. Because I see people coming to me, most talented people, smart, bright, good-willed, good meaning, good hearts. And they're stuck in their heads with I'm a nobody. Remember, Rav Noach Orlowick one time said to me that, I believe it was Noach Orlowick, said, somebody told me it was someone else, but said that we have cheshbon hanefesh, right? We tell all yeshiva guys they have to write you have to keep a cheshbon hanefesh. Used to be, back in the day, cheshbon hanefesh meant that we wrote down everything that we did wrong. We would write down at night everything we did wrong. And even now when I say it, because I've been doing this for so long, it doesn't sit well. We write down everything we did wrong. And then we make the plan to be able to do better tomorrow. We're acknowledging what happened, we're acknowledging where I went wrong, and we have a plan to do it tomorrow. Noah Holowick said, that's not how we do it anymore. That's not how we do it anymore. He said, now we write down everything that we did well, and we promise, and we say for tomorrow, I'm going to do even more. I'm going to have a bigger list. He said, why? He said, we lost, there's a filter, there's a foundation, there's a safety net that we lost. There used to be a safety net that when I said I did something wrong, and I admitted it, I immediately felt, okay, I'm going to work on this. I'm going to do better. Nowadays, for whatever the reasons are, it doesn't matter. Nowadays, when I say I did something wrong, when I say I define myself by doing that thing wrong, I shame myself about it. I give myself busha, I give myself all these things. I never even come to the realization that I could do better. What do I think? I have to hide this. I have to cover this up. I have to make sure no one ever finds out. I'm never going to talk about this again, which is even deeper shame and even deeper, that's even harder. Now, I want to make one thing clear. I'm not saying that we don't admit what we did wrong. I'm not saying that we don't say we're going to do better. But that's not all we are. We prove this on Shavuot. What happened back in the day, by actual Matan Torah, what happened? What does the Torah say? Straight out. We don't even need Midrashim for this. What does the Torah say happened when we came to Har Sinai to do Matan Torah? There's a few things we needed to do. Before and after. We had to get ready. We had to be ready. We had to do tshuva. We had to cleanse ourselves. We had to get ready. There was all these things that we had to purge from inside of us and around us in order to be ready for Matan Torah. Afterwards, came running down to the mountain. One of the reasons, Jonathan and I were talking about the reasons that people eat milk, have the minhag to eat milk on already. For Jonathan, it's not even a minhag anymore. He went too deep. Now it's the whole mitzvah. But they have the mitzvah to eat milk. All right, one of the reasons is that right after before that, we were mixing milk and meat. When they came down, they didn't have any pots and pans anymore that were kosher. So they had to throw everything out. The only thing they had to eat was halab. Okay. The only thing that they were able to eat kosher-wise was halab. All right. But everything around Ma'amad Har Sinai was about getting rid of negatives. It was about working on ourselves to be a keli, to be something ready to be able to receive the Torah and use the Torah. What do we actually do on Shavuot? Nothing. Everything that we have for Shavuot came later. Staying up all night, learning. what are we really supposed to be doing here? So one of my Rebbeim told me, this was a question I always had, right? Sukkot, we have Sukkah, Lulav. We couldn't have borrowed one thing from all the other Chagim. Anything. They all have so much. Sukkot, we have Sukkah, Lulav, Pesach, Matzah, Mar, like all Shavuot, and it's one of the Shalosh Sukkot, nothing. We have these minhagim that we do. Some of them are more than minhagim. We have certain things that we read from the Torah, fine. But that we also do every other. There's nothing unique here. So one of my Rebbeim said, the unique thing over here cannot be done as a klal. It's one of the only things that we can't do as a community. Far be it from me to argue with my Rebbe, so I didn't say which Rebbe. Far be it from me to argue with my Rebbe. I think nowadays, I think he was right for when we spoke, but I think nowadays we can do it. There is a lot that we could do as a klal to be able to, it's not for now. But he said the main thing that we're supposed to do on Shavuot is find, is reinvigorate, is re-inspire, is reinstill our greatness in Torah, is to realize we were given the Torah. And that means something so big. We're not just a bunch of animals that are trying not to do things wrong. Because when you think about it, that's what a dog is. A dog wants his food, he wants his water, and he's just trying not to get hit by its owner. A donkey, why does a donkey walk the path that it walks? Why does it listen? Because it was hit so many times, it's just going to be, it's not out of love for the owner. It's not out of any connection. It's because this is the guy that feeds me. He's the guy who hits me. And for so many of us, this became our connection to the Ribono Shel Olam. This became our connection to the Borei Olam. He's the one who feeds me. He's the one who hits me. I really don't want to upset him. So I hyper-focus on not doing wrong. And we forget that really we have this inner essence of greatness. This inner essence of greatness. They say on Mashal, I'll end with, there was one time a chicken farm. You might have heard it. There's chickens running around on this farm. And one day, a couple of chickens walk up to the other. A lot of attitude. It's because chickens walk like that. All right, okay. Anyway, so two chickens walk up to one of the chicken over there. And this one mother chicken is sitting on this enormous egg. And they're like, whose egg is that? She's like, it's my egg. They're like, you're a liar. Because the egg's bigger than you. Like, there's no way that worked out. It's like, it's my egg. And they're like, whose egg is it? It's like, yeah, fine, just keep it. It's my egg. Like, all right. Fine. Sure enough, she's sitting there on the egg, very proud. She put it out in front. And everyone walked by, see the egg. She's like, yes, my son. He's going to be a doctor. He's a very tall doctor. He's a football player, then a doctor. It's a big egg. So, sure enough, the egg hatches. And everyone realizes she was lying. Out comes a baby eagle. And she says to the eagle, all right, buddy, listen. We got them. They all believe you're my kid. Like, oh, sure, okay. Everyone's in on it. Everyone believes her, apparently. They all believe you're mine. You can't stand out. Just do what everyone's doing. And the eagle's like, The second it spreads its wings, like, put your wings away. What are you doing? Chickens don't fly. Your wings you have freakishly long wings. Put them away. You can't show anyone those things. He's like, all right. He's like, I'm hungry. She throws a little bit of whatever chickens eat. They eat garbage. Like, here. He's like, I want meat. I think eagles are carnivore. I'm a carnivore. She's like, no. You eat this. He's like, but how am I going to grow big and strong? Like, you eat this. Just be like everyone else. Walk in the line. Peck on the floor. Eat what you can. Don't stand out. You're going to embarrass everybody if you stand out. Baby eagle is like, all right, okay, mommy. So He goes. He's pecking on the floor. Sure enough, it gets a little older. All of a sudden, all the chickens are sitting over there. I don't know, in my head, as a kid, I had a very wild imagination. I couldn't accept anything as it was. This floor, I still have it left over. This floor, I thought of like 8 times. This would be a great place to do like a Kriyas Yam Suf thing for kids during Seder night. Like, I can't stop. I wish I could, because then I could daven a lot better. But it's not. The only reason I sit in front by davening is not doing me being a rabbi. Is that if people are sitting in front of me, it's over for me. I can never focus. It's never gonna. So the eagle is sitting over there. He's pecking around. All of them he's trying to follow suit. All of a sudden, this huge shadow falls over the crowd, goes over everyone. They all look up, and the eagle looks up. Everyone looks up, and he goes, "Wow, what is that?" And they see in the sky this enormous bird. And all the chickens look at him and they say, "You don't know anything. You're such a weirdo. You know that? Everyone knows what that is." He goes, "What is that?" They're like, "We've never seen one up close because they live up there. They don't come down here to where the chickens hang out with chickens." But that's an eagle. And eagles are the strongest, most majestic, biggest, greatest birds out there. We're chickens. We get to look up every now and then and we get to see one. But you're no eagle. Get back to biting on the floor. Get back to hoping that you find your lunch today. The Yetzer Hara, the Satan has convinced us over the course of the whole year that we're chickens. That we're meant to be running in this little rat race. That we're meant to be small. And even not among the Goyim, even among ourselves, that we're small. He's just trying to trick us into not spreading our wings and becoming an eagle. Shavuot is the time that we have a special Eit Ratzon. We have a special pipeline open where we get to turn to Hashem during Tefillah and we get to say to the Rabban Shalom, remember Har Sinai? You always think it's Hashem saying it to us because we always have this negative intent. Hashem is constantly saying to us, what happened? Remember Har Sinai? Remember you stood by Har? Remember I gave you Torah? Remember I gave you this? Remember what happened? What are you doing down there? We think that. We get to tie it back. We say, Hashem, remember Har Sinai? Remember you chose me? Remember all of that? I need help. I need help. I forgot where I'm from. I need a special Eit Ratzon. I need a special help from Hashem. I need a special Siyata D'Shmaya right now. To remember I'm an eagle among chickens. To remember how big I can be. And to remember that the only route I take to get there is through Torah. Thank you guys so much for having me. Chag Sameach.